So now I am requesting our next speaker, Dr. Ulrich Berk. He is from Germany. Dr. Ulrich Berk, born in Germany, he completed his Doctor of Philosophy in 1976 from University Erlangen, Nuremberg in logic mathematics. Professor Berk worked in Constanz University teaching logic and methodology of science to students in different faculties. Since 1980, coordination research on therapy is the beginning mainly in Eastern European countries like Russia, Ukraine, Poland, and Yugoslavia. Since a couple of years also in India. Recently published bringing Homa organic farming into the mainstream of Indian agricultural system. Proceeding of the brainstorming conference in cooperation with Planning Commission, Government of India. So now I am requesting to Dr. Ulrich Berk, please start your presentation on Homa organic farming for a sustainable future in this international virtual conference.
Okay. First, thank you to the organizers of the conference, you know, the Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, and also the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Dept, for inviting me, and especially also to Dr. Ashwani Kumar Dubey, who is organizing this conference. And it was a great pleasure for me now to see Dr. Kanaya Tripathi, whom I met beginning of this year in Khajuraho, and we agreed to working together in future. Now, the organizer, the administrator of the conference, can you please allow me to share the screen? The host has to be allow screen sharing.
Please, please.
Okay, thank you. Here we go. Now you should see it, okay? So, my subject today in this conference is Homa Organic Farming for a Sustainable Future. The theme of this conference has two parts. One is global food security, and the second is rural development. But these are interconnected. Without rural development, global food security cannot be achieved. So the main question is, all others would be muted. So the main question is, in which direction should this development go? And it seems obvious that we have to go in the direction of organic farming. Why so? Agrochemicals in farming have led to a severe pollution of the atmosphere, of water resources, and the soil. Just look at one point, at the soil health. According to data from FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, they say that already now 1/3 of the world's soil has been degraded. And they say, if we would continue like we do now with this conventional agrochemical-based kind of farming, the global amount of arable and productive land per person in 2050 will be only one quarter of the level in 1960. And then it will just not be possible to feed the growing number of people. So we have to go to organic farming. But there's one apprehension that when we move from conventional to organic farming, there will be a drop in yield. And that, of course, also would not help. But with Homa organic farming, there will not be a drop in yield, and yields can even be higher than with conventional farming. I'll just give one example. That was from a series of MSc theses done at Dharwad University in Karnataka. And 4 theses were written, one on soybeans, one on cabbage, one on tomatoes, one on okra. And they could show that disease resistance is higher and there are less pests and so on. But here I just want to show increase in the yield. And you see, compared to conventional farming, the increase in yield was 15%, 26%, 43%, or 28% higher than with conventional farming. So if we go towards Homa organic farming, we do not have a dip in yield, but even increase in yield. So now, which is this method which increases yield, reduces pests and diseases, and even improves health of the farmers? That is question number 1. Question number 2, how does it work, and why is it so beneficial for growth of plants? 1. Homa organic farming. The basic tool is Agnihotra. Agnihotra is a simple fire which you perform in a copper pyramid according to the biorhythm of sunrise and sunset. It comes from Vedic knowledge. And the essentials are copper pyramid of fixed size and shape. And the ingredients, what you burn is dried cow dung, has to be pure cow dung, not mixed with buffalo dung or any other dung. Pure cow's ghee, again, pure cow only. Some pieces of unbroken, unpolished rice grains, akshat, and 2 simple Sanskrit mantras and an exact timetable of sunrise, sunset. The procedure is you start preparing the fire a couple of minutes before the time of sunrise, sunset, so that the flames already fully ablaze at the exact time. And then you take a few grains of this unbroken rice and apply ghee to it. And with the right hand, you give these offerings along with the mantras. After there are 2 mantras, 2 times swaha, and after swaha, you drop the rice into the fire. So it is in the morning, Suryaya swaha, Suryaya idam namama, Prajapataye swaha, Prajapataye idam namama. And at sunset in the evening, Agnaye swaha, Agnaye idam namama, Prajapataye swaha, Prajapataye idam namama. That completes Agnihotra. So it's a very simple process. Just takes 5 or 10 minutes in the morning, 5 or 10 minutes evening. Why do we need these mantras, and why do we have to be so exact with the time? There is some ancient knowledge about that, and they say that at the time of sunrise, a flood of subtle energies, electricities, come all the way from the sun to the earth, and this flood has a subtle music in it. The quintessential sound of that music is the mantra which we utter at that time. Therefore, we have to use exactly that mantra. Translating it, it will work. Because it's always all about sound, vibration, resonance. And also it explains why we have to be so peculiar about the exact time, because this flood of energy is there only for very short time band. What happens? We perform Agnihotra, and it is said that a channel is created through all the atmosphere. Prana energy, life energy, which lies above the atmosphere, comes down through this channel. And from the pyramid, an aura energy field is created around all plants nearby. This is why these plants get nutrition, they get disease resistant, and they grow better. When the flame dies, this energy comes back and is collected in the Agnihotra ash. This is why the ash has healing properties, can be used to nourish your plants, can be used if you have some problems with pests and diseases in plants, but it even can be used as medicine for animals and humans. Now, how does this Agnihotra work? Agnihotra, mainly one thing, it purifies the environment, purifies our atmosphere, our water resources, and the soil, and thus brings all nature back to harmony. And if nature is in harmony, then everything grows well. Let us first have a look at atmosphere. You know, pollution of the atmosphere has at least three different levels. One is biological pollution. Second is chemical pollution. Third is physical pollution. Now, biological pollution, it's mainly microbial pollution. And you see here, these petri dishes at the left side were opened before Agnihotra for 10 minutes and then closed and sent for cultivation. And these two petri dishes at the right side were opened 10 minutes after Agnihotra for 10 minutes. And you see a big difference in bacterial contamination. Here you see the graphics, a big reduction. Now, chemical pollution, physical pollution. Chemical pollution is mainly SOx and NOx. And this was an experiment done once in Vikram University in Ujjain, but then again it was done also in North Maharashtra University in Jalgaon. And what we found out is after Agnihotra, there was a small increase in these parameters, but then all they went down by 30–40%. That refers both to the chemical pollution, SOx and NOx, as well as to the physical pollution, which is particulate matter. So with just one Agnihotra, we had a big reduction in air pollution. Now, especially the particulate matter is interesting in the moment because everybody has a problem with COVID-19 and these bacteria as well as viruses, they attach to particles in the air. And if particulate matter in the air is reduced, you know, their chance of surviving, staying in the air is much less. So that can really help for COVID-19 also. But that's a different subject. We have published an article, Dr. Ashwani, Dubey and I, we have published an article on that subject. If you're interested, it is in his journal. Negative ions in the air. Negative ions are known to be an indicator for fresh air. And if there are less negative ions, that means it is polluted air. Normally, any smoke reduces the amount of negative ions. But in an experiment we did in Germany a long time back, we could see that negative ions increased when we performed Agnihotra. That was quite interesting. The engineer who did the experiment, when I came and I explained about Agnihotra, then he asked, okay, but then if there's fire, will there be smoke? I said, yeah, there will be some smoke. And he said, okay, then we don't even have to do the experiment because any smoke reduces the percentage of negative ions. And in order to prove his statement, he took a cigarette and blew the smoke of the cigarette in the direction of the instrument. And what happened? Yes, the meter went down, a drop in negative ions. And I said, okay, I don't know, let's try. We performed Agnihotra and the count of negative ions went up. He was very much surprised. He said that normally it's not possible. So that's a very interesting experiment which explains some of the effects of Agnihotra because the air pollution is reduced. And if you think of plants and plant growth, also plants suffer from this air pollution because if the pollution sticks to the leaves, then the photosynthesis is reduced. Growth of plants is reduced, and plants are more prone to all kinds of different diseases. So if we perform Agnihotra, we purify the atmosphere, and that helps plant growth. Also, one very important thing is that plants get most of their nutrition through the atmosphere. According to Vedic knowledge, they get approximately 75% of the nutrition through the atmosphere. Nowadays, modern agricultural science mainly concentrates on the soil. So they add all kinds of nutrients to the soil. But mostly plants get the nutrients from the atmosphere. And that aspect is normally not taken care of. And with Agnihotra, we can purify the atmosphere and then plants get enough nutrition. So atmosphere is one thing. Second thing is water resources. There was one interesting experiment done in Pune some time ago. They took water from a very polluted river in Pune, and they poured this water through a glass cylinder which was filled with Agnihotra ash. So just they took the polluted water, poured it, measured the water quality before, and then measured what came out. And you see all the parameters of water quality, like conductivity, total solid contained hardness, biological, BOD, COD, and the microbial count. All these parameters got much improved. Especially interesting is the microbial count, which really improved a lot between 93 and 98% by just pouring the water through this column of Agnihotra ash. Another interesting observation was done with an industrial effluent in the area of Bombay. And that was a textile factory, and the effluent was so poisonous that even if you dilute it with effluent, 15% of this effluent, 85% fresh water, even then aquatic life was not possible. So it was so poisonous. But then if you added half a gram of Agnihotra ash per liter to this concentration of 15%, then biotic life was possible again. If you had a concentration of 20% effluent, then you had to add 2 grams of Agnihotra ash in order to compensate that. Also, the COD was reduced by half if you added half a gram of Agnihotra ash per liter of water. And that's an interesting and important finding also for agriculture, because we have to deal with all kinds of polluted water. And if you use this water for your irrigation, plants have problems. With Agnihotra ash, you can utilize that. Another important thing is water quality of bore wells. This was an experience from Australia. They had a bore well, they found water, which was really, they were lucky enough, but this water was highly saline and alkaline. pH was 9.5, salinity 1150 parts per million. You know, that water you couldn't give to your plants, it would kill them. You couldn't give it to your animals, you couldn't drink, forget about that. So what they did is, they just performed Agnihotra next to the bore well and added Agnihotra ash once a week to the bore well, to the water. After 6 months, water quality had improved considerably. pH came down to 7.2 and salinity to 720 parts per million. means that now was drinking water quality according to WHO, which is a big achievement. Basically, it saved their farm, because without water, what can you do? This area in Australia is very dry. It is maybe comparable to Rajasthan. Now, soil. What is the effect of Agnihotra and Agnihotra ash on soil? One experiment was done in Unnao, which is between Lucknow and Kanpur. This area was very alkaline, and pH was 9.86. So what they did is they divided the land, it was land of KVK, in 3 plots. One they continued to do with agrochemicals, one organic with vermicompost, and the third organic vermicompost with Agnihotra ash, and see how the soil pH developed. With agrochemicals, there was no change, same, 9.86, really high. With vermicompost, organic vermicompost, it came down from 9.86 to 9.06, which is quite a good achievement already. But with vermicompost and Agnihotra ash, it came down to 7.67, more than 2 points in just one season. So that showed how much this Agnihotra and Agnihotra ash can help in neutralizing sodic soil. And then you could say, okay, Agnihotra ash brings pH down, but we had some experiment in Poland that was very acidic soil. The pH was 4.4, and the government agriculture engineer said, oh, forget about it, nothing will grow. But they tried, they applied Agnihotra methods, performing the fires, adding Agnihotra ash, and you see after 1 year or so, you know, everything grows. Nobody there would believe that is possible. No other farmers can do that. And these 2 examples are very important, because in India, we have hundreds of thousands of hectares of either highly acidic soil or highly sodic and saline soil. And if these areas could be reclaimed, that would be a big step in the direction of food security for India. And the expenses are very moderate for just performing these Homa fires. Now, what happens on the level of soil microbes? That is one aspect. Only recently scientists pay more attention to the soil microbes, but these soil microbes are most important for the soil health. And normally, you know, phosphorus or phosphate is one of the main nutrients, which fertilizers, which farmers put to the soil, and prepare, you know, making this phosphate, rock phosphate, that is a very polluting method. And by the way, also within 20, 30 years, there will not be enough of these rocks where they can make this rock phosphate. But the thing is, normally there's enough phosphorus in the soil. Only it is there in a non-water soluble form. So some scientists from Ratnagiri did one experiment. They added Agnihotra ash 1% to the soil, and they found out there was an increase in nitrogen fixing bacteria by 100 times, and even 1,000 times more phosphorus solubilizing bacteria. So if you have this increased number of bacteria, both nitrogen fixing and phosphorus solubilizing, then you do not have to add these chemical fertilizers. Interesting, at the same time, Agnihotra has helped to control fungal flora. So that shows on the level of soil microbes, Agnihotra and Agnihotra ash help to improve the soil and bring soil back to life. Because of this chemical farming, as we have heard at the beginning, you know, a lot of land already is so much degraded that nearly nothing will grow anymore. One more thing is effects of organic farming on biodiversity. Because of also biodiversity is getting lost more and more. If you perform Agnihotra, then biodiversity increases again. That it is such a big problem. One study in Germany showed last year that within 25 years, we had a reduction of insect population of 75%, 75% less insect population. And you know, in nature, everything plays a role. Insects feed the birds and so on and so on. Some insects, of course, are directly important, like the bees for pollination. So that's really a shocking news. Now, look here, that was one study done at the Narmada River, and they studied the invertebrates in the riverbed. And you see two stations where upstream, the place in the middle, which is a Homa place, and two streams at the right side were downstream. And you see how much more diversity in these invertebrates is there at this Homa place. Much, much more than upstream or downstream. Just by people performing the Homas next to the river and adding Agnihotra to the river from time to time. Similar thing with butterflies. Number of butterflies in the Homa therapy place much higher than stations besides. And here you see a photo of all the butterflies. Now, we talk about rural development. With the Homa method, you can work on an area of up to 200 acres. You have one hut in the middle where you perform Agnihotra, some other hut where you perform an additional fire, and then north, south, east, west, you have one resonance pillar so that the area is expanded. And in this way, because in India, most farmers have small land holdings, so you can, several of these farmers can work together with one such resonance system, and they can share the work, so it's then very less work for them. And then that would lead to a rural development, to working together of these farmers on village level. So this is how we can achieve rural development from village level and thus guarantee global food security. And one last remark I want to make, because now everybody is affected by this COVID-19 problem, and Agnihotra can also help on this level. It helps to reduce the probability of getting infected. It helps to reduce pre-existing conditions like asthma, heart disease, cancer, and so on, which would normally lead to a severe cause of COVID-19. But with Agnihotra, you know, these pre-existing conditions can be taken care of, so the body is stronger to deal with the disease. Also, Agnihotra supports the body's immune system to overcome the infection. I mentioned that in the beginning, you know, you perform Homa farming, Homa organic farming, and as a positive side effect, the farmer also gets healed. So this is how it works. Even in such a situation of COVID-19, Agnihotra can help. Of course, more research is necessary. We are working on that to get that done. This is my contact information, and that's it. Thank you.